What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. So have you ever heard that song, Sunny and 75? That's what it is here right now in Southwest Florida, and it is a perfect day to dig some ditches. So in case you didn't see part one of this little series, I actually dug a surface drain and a French drain and this and this and that. I put that on the video last week. So check the link in the description below if you want to see part one of this. This is part two, and this is a little bit of a different situation. But before we go getting too crazy on what I'm doing today, I did want to answer a couple questions that came up from part one, just to clarify what I'm doing there. So let's go take a look at just a quick overview of part one, and let me just answer one or two quick questions that came up about it. Okay, so this is going to be part two that we're going to be working on a little later, and if you remember, part one was up here. All of that's going to get used up in the next portion here, or most of it. So what you'll remember is that I've got a channel drain right there, and that dumps out, and now that's dropping off into that end of that corrugated drain there. I'm going to make a better union later, but that's what we have for right now. Okay, so then from that we just have some bended drain. It's just solid pipe that goes here to this drain here, and this is called a catch basin. And then this drain is going to grab water that comes out of there, and then from here we have a French drain that goes down, and it goes down for 10 feet. So it will also catch water that comes out of here as well as pull up groundwater. Now the questions came in is, you know, how far away did I go? Did I not go far enough away? And does the French drain go all the way out? So the first thing is, the French drain itself stops about right here. That's where the French drain stops. Look at that, huh? So the French drain ends right here, and then I just have 4-inch corrugated solid pipe that goes out that way. So it's not perforated, but it is corrugated, and it's the black stuff. And I got it because it's easily bended. So a few of you asked why I was using that corrugated stuff. The main reason I'm using it is because it's flexible and I can bend it. If I have, you know, rigid pipe, I have no forgiveness. And again, I'm a DIYer. I don't dig properly all the time, you know. Anyway, just... And then getting under the curb down there, I wasn't sure if I could really do that with rigid. I mean, I could have, but again, it makes me be much more precision. So that's why I use corrugated. So again, from about right there all the way out is corrugated. Okay, now so as you come along here, some of you were thinking I didn't have this drop off far enough away, but right there is the lake, and this is a low point. So any water that comes in here now is going to go straight off there into the lake. We have no issues there. That's all downhill and everything's cool. I just didn't want to have to dig all that way to take it to the lake. You know, I'll just let it flow out here through the grass. The other thing is I didn't want to have any more of that corrugated black pipe underneath my lawn, because anytime something goes underneath the lawn, all I can think about is it's going to take away moisture, or it's going to add heat or whatever. So just not something that I want under the lawn if I can help it. So either way though, this is well downhill, at least for Florida it is. We have really good fall here. And then some of you had asked what this was. This is a pop-up emitter, and what happens is when the water flow gets heavy enough, the water flow will push this up, and then the water can come out and around, but then when there's nothing going on, it settles nice and clean. So that's what this is. This is called a pop-up emitter. All right, and then another thing some of you had asked me was it actually working? So right now, anything that goes in that French drain is probably being drained out into the soil, because we do have fairly sandy clay soil here that sucks it up pretty good, right? This is not made for that. Remember, if you go back to the first video, you'll see I explained how a French drain works and why and all that. But either way, yes, it's working when I sit here and let it run for a while, which I'll do so you guys can see. We'll head down there to the pop-up emitter and you'll be able to see it. Again, it's not flowing out because this is for heavy flows, you know, but you'll see the water collecting down in there for sure. So I think you can see it now. See, there's water in there. It's just, this is not simulating a heavy rain, so, you know, it's not going to really push out majorly, but you can definitely see that's filling up there, and it's coming from up there where I'm running the water. Okay, so here we go, section 2 here, and the issue that I have is this. I have two low spots right here. I have one right here, and then I have one right here, and this is where my irrigation stuff is. And this is actually, I think, well, it's hard to tell. I'm gonna have to measure it. We'll have to see, but I'm pretty sure these are about the same as far as how low they are. So either way, I'm just gonna pull it all out, clean it all up, clean up the boxes, reset the boxes. Now the other question that I have, that I had to have is this even possible? Like, because the drain itself is gonna be down in there, right? It's not even up here. So I had to do a measurement to make sure by the time I get out there where it falls down to, that I actually have enough fall. So let me just show you that process right now. Okay, so this was my plan that I started with. Now you're going to find that it changed as I got into it, and that's due to my inexperience. And I'll explain where I could have done things better, but I will tell you I'm really happy with what I came out with. So the first thing though is, let me just explain. This is Franken lawn right here. It's the side lawn. It's the area that's like 70% Bermuda, which is what we discovered when we resodded. You'll see that video coming up, but 70% Bermuda, like 20% St. Augustine, and then the rest is torpedo grass. There's a dead palm right here. So this all is getting resodded. That's why I want to fix the drainage over here. So the problem I had was this is always underwater. And then I did eventually determine that this spot here was actually a little bit lower than over here. So it was cool to go from here to here. I had enough fall and then all the way out. But my biggest concern overall was, is there enough fall from here to the street out here to even make this viable? So the way I did that was I ran 2 stakes and a string, and then I put a string level on there.
So I need to be able to be at least 22 inches down in there. That means that my end pop-up has to be lower than 21 and 22 inches below this line. So let's hope that my end pop-up is significantly lower than 22 inches. Let's see. So you can see we must have a little sag in the line because we're slightly higher now here, but either way, it's going to be close enough that we have more than 22 inches fall. It looks like we got significantly more. So yeah, we have 33 inches from the line here. So that means I've got between 33 and 22, I have 11 inches of fall from over there to here. So it's still good. It just doesn't look like it when you're over there. It feels like you're in this giant deep hole, when in reality you are, but when you get down here, that fall is enough. So that's why I wanted to recheck this. So I still feel okay about it. I got enough gravity to do this, no sump pump needed. And that way I knew that I had a level line from, you know, all the way up here to all the way down here, and then I could just use a tape measure and measure down to the ground. And I found out that I actually had 11 inches of fall from here to here, and that was plenty, because as far as I'm concerned, as long as I had a little bit of downhill bubble, I was feeling good about it. So that was fine. That was the first thing I did. Next thing then, in my original plan, I was going to put a surface drain right here, which would drain the water out from underneath these boxes. It would literally be lower than these boxes, and it would just drain out here. This would be a French drain that would come down, because I did have, you know, some surface water. I did have a lot of groundwater that just felt mushy in here during the rainy season. And I thought, well, what we'll do is we'll just put a French drain right there. So surface drain, grab all the water out of the valve boxes, come down to a French drain, which would grab any water there. Then I have a downspout right here. No French drain there. This would just be solid corrugated, coming on down. They hit a Y here. Come down here. This is solid corrugated here. Then I would have
another surface drain here because this is a low spot. Then I'd have French drain here. I mean, why not? We're going to run it. We might as well run some French drain. Then we would come all to here, and then everybody would go down here and solid corrugate it all the way out to the end. That was the original plan. But what happened was I realized that these pre-made French drains, and I'm going the easy route, so I saw it, I'm going to use the pre-made ones or I'm not going to use anything at all. And they were so fat and they required so much digging. I'm like, I do not want those giant things underneath my lawn. I'm just thinking they're going to suck up all the goodness, and I didn't want to do that much digging anyway. This was just not a good plan. That's a lot of trenching out there, right? So this I abandoned, and I went ahead and cleaned out this valve box just to see what I was dealing with. And it's a good thing I did, because I found all of the irrigation pipes. All the irrigation pipes were actually coming all out through here, so I couldn't put a drain in here anyway. So that's when I switched the strategy up. So I'm still kind of messing with this, and I'm not gonna be able to really work on it today. I got some office work, believe it or not, that I need to do, get my email out, stuff like that, which is very enjoyable to me. So I can't be out here working today. I need to get that stuff done. But this is on my mind. It's one of those things, I'm sure you guys do the same thing. When you're working on a project like this, it just constantly runs through your mind and keeps you up late at night, because you just want to make sure you nail everything. So let me tell you a little bit about what I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do now, because it's kind of changing. So I put a little water in this last night to wash off the tops of the valve, whatever those are there, the valves. That water is still sitting in there. It's going nowhere. So, I mean, this really does have to be drained out. We're not in the rainy season, so I'm sure this dries out after a period of time, but it needs to dry out overnight. I can't have water sitting like that. So my thought is, number one is, I've got to be able to raise this a little bit. I'm not going to do it now because I'm clean, but I can get under there and pull it up, and it doesn't strain it. And I'm going to pull more of this soil out of here and see how much play I can get in this entire unit. Then I can install French drains. The other thing I'm going to do, though, by the way, is I'm going to put some geo fabric underneath the whole thing, and this will all be rock. This entire thing. I'm never going to plant anything here. I don't need any soil in here. I'm going to make it all rock and hopefully just keep it clean and not so stinking muddy. But the other thing is, if I have geofabric underneath, then I put in rock to clean everything out. I can put a French drain in, right down this side, or at least back there and over there, and then head on out. And that should keep this clean. And then I'll just reinstall these after I clean them up. Man, this is a lot of work, but I'm glad I got in here to see this, because there's no way this should be this low. Look at how low this is. So it had to have sunk or something. But either way, that's the plan now. And this is actually what I did. So I ended up now exposing all of this right here, and I took all the soil out and I put in a bunch of earth block or dirt block or whatever fabric, just giant thick fabric. By the way, the stuff you buy that's supposed to be for blocking the sand and the dirt and the silt or whatever from getting into your French drain area, that stuff's garbage. I actually ended up getting the most expensive landscape fabric, and it worked great. But I went ahead and cleaned these boxes out completely, lined them with the landscape fabric, lined everything in here with landscape fabric, filled all this in with rock. But let's hope this rain doesn't last long, or I'm going to be in big trouble, because this is going to be a giant mud hole. Try to keep working here. I have sod coming in 2 days, and I have to have this drainage done. I tried to cover it up, but it didn't work. All right, well, gonna be a muddy mess today. Look at that. Freaking A, man. The positive to having water in your trench is, if your flow is good, because the water will follow your trench as you dig. So I got some water sitting up there, but it's dammed up. It lets me see it's all flowing out up there, so you can kind of get a visual. So there's a positive to having a muddy trench. What I really did is I put right here just a clean out, but I put a French drain right here, and it's one that I made out of corrugated pipe. I actually went to Lowe's and I was going to buy corrugated pipe with holes in it that they have, their French drain, and I didn't like the way the holes were drilled. They weren't consistent, blah blah blah, so I drilled my own to make sure that the holes in this French drain here were lower than the bottom of this valve box. As long as I did that and I had fall, I would be fine. So French drain back here behind the valve box, French drain around the corner. This is all lower than the valve boxes. This is all French drain here. I know that says solid, but it's not. This is all French. Then I pick up the downspout right here. This is solid corrugated here. We got a little Y here, and then this is where we go to solid corrugated all down through here. And then this hits another surface drain, but this is actually below the surface quite a bit. But I went ahead and put rocks only over it, put some fabric over it, did my best to keep silt out of it. You're not going to keep it all out. So I might have to dig up and get to this eventually to use it as a clean out. But again, I have a clean out up here as well. And then anyway, underneath the curb, this is all solid corrugated all the way out to a pop-up, and it works great. I'll take a second. I gotta get working here, but all right. So I gotta be careful where I step too. That's what's killing me with this job. I can't step anywhere, and where I can step is muddy. So I got this perforated pipe that I made. It's below. The pipe itself is up here, but as long as the holes are below where the water is, the water will get into the pipe, and it is. So it's well below these boxes, all the way down and around the holes are. And the French drain just goes to right there. I'm going to pick up that downspout right there, and I'm going to put a Y right there, and then that's where the French drain will end, because you don't run a downspout into a French drain. It overwhelms it. And I think I probably would have told you already, I should have done PVC here, but sometimes you got to dance with the girl that brought you. I cannot be going back to Lowe's another 10 times, so I'm working with what I have here. The other thing I'm doing is I'm not putting any dirt back in here. I'm just putting in rock. There's no sense in having any dirt here at all. This dirt here is crappy mud, garbage, clay, garbage, junk. Anyway, so I don't need to be putting any dirt here. I'm never going to grow anything here, so we'll just do all rock, and hopefully that'll help keep some of the mud out of here. You'll also see I did put the fabric underneath, and the fabric that I bought that's supposed to be for this application is crap. It just rips. So I'm just using my regular landscape fabric, which holds together much better. So there you go. That's where we're at.
Tonight?
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm just going to make some lamb and...
Okay, let's hope that this is my last day on this job. This is Sunday, sod coming tomorrow. I'll have to deal with any settling that happens here. I'm gonna try to pack it down as good as I can, but this is just what happens. So I bought a bunch more drainage rock. I'm gonna put that in all through here. I'm gonna fold all that over. That comes out. There's enough of that there. Fold that over to keep it clean. And then these guys are gonna be separated by this here, and I'll wrap a little more around. So the idea is to try to completely surround these by the fabric to try to keep mud out. And then I put the fabric lining the bottom of them as well, and that tucks up all the way under. So the idea is water will flow. By the way, the holes in the pipe that I drilled them a little closer together. When I went to Lowe's and got theirs, some were like directly across from each other. They weren't even at the bottom of the pipe, and I'm like, I can just do better than that. The other thing is the holes are lower than these, and that's what matters. The pipe itself sticks up a little bit higher, as you can see, but the holes in the pipe themselves are lower than these. So hopefully that's all gonna cover that and keep these from being muddy. We'll see. That's my best effort anyway. I've already buried all this back in, but there is a clean out here, or a drain, and right now it's exposed. I'm gonna put drainage rock all on top of that. I'm sorry, right now it's covered, but I'm gonna put drainage rock all right here, because these beds here were just soaked all the time as well. So now whatever flows will flow into that drain there. And then of course our line goes all the way out, and I'm gonna put my cap on the end. So that's today's chore. Okay, kind of finishing up here. So I got my drainage rock in now, and I'm gonna put another coating of that fabric across the top, and then put the red rocks over top of everything. That's my best bet at trying to keep the soil out. Water's fine. Water can drain through, and it's gonna go right to the back to the French drain and then head on out. So that's okay. Also, I did put my version of a clean out right here. This is not really meant to be a drain. I mean, if water goes down it, that's fine. But what this is it's just, there's a 90 right here that goes down, and then the French drain starts right down there. And I just have this here as access. So if I need to get in there and clean it out or whatever, that's what it is. So I didn't want to put a full box in there. I didn't have room actually, and I figured this was fine. It looks pretty clean anyway. Once I get all the red rock around it, it'll look nice and clean, and I'll know what it is. It's just my clean out. So, and of course these are nice and clean now, as you will see. Nice and clean down in there. So hopefully that's gonna hold out for us. Okay, well today is sod morning, Monday, and it's a shame because this part of the lawn is probably looking the best it's ever looked. You guys always say that you want to see if my drains work. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but the streets are wet. It rained last night, pretty good. Everything over here is wet, all the rocks are wet. So here's the test. You can see the tops of these are wet. So here we go. Are they flooded or are they dry? Dun, da, da, da. Oh, dry as a bone, baby. Yes, yes. So that means it's working. And here's your other proof that it works. When you go down in, water in the hole. So obviously some sits there. I did drill holes in the bottom of the 90 so it could leak out slowly. But obviously some will sit there, but I wasn't here last night when it rained, but I'm sure it bubbled up. And that's what this was. A lot of people ask how this works. Right there, see? It's a pop-up, so the water pops up, flows out underneath.